Welcome back. All right, so I want to talk about the Anaheim Ducks today. So, in my continuing look at teams around the NHL and just showing the randomness, I want to talk about Anaheim. The Anaheim Ducks, a team that are really doing a good job of building when it comes to young players and prospects. And there are some question marks here, sure. And when a team is looking at 6 years where they haven't made the playoffs, you're going to get some restless fans going, okay, when are things going to start getting better? They should start getting better this season. Keeping in mind that when the channel started out, my absolute most hated team was the Anaheim Ducks. I was good with that. Ducks fans seem to be okay with it, but the Anaheim Ducks have been on a relentless attempt to make me a fan of the team. Free jerseys and interviews and tickets to games, and I don't appreciate it. Sometimes hate's all you got as an old man. All right, so that being said, but all kidding aside, yeah, the Ducks over the last 8 years of the channel, I found out what great people there are working for the team, and how some of the players I didn't like were actually really good guys, and it's like, oh, come on. So, anyways, when you look at the 24 and under group, so this is your nucleus going forward, right? Leo Carlsson clearly is the guy that they're shepherding along. He was definitely put under some load management with his game last season, and we'll see how it pans out this year. He was a number 2 pick in 2023, and he is seen as that first line center once he reaches this peak, right? And he should be a superstar. Then you've got Lucas Dostal in net, and he was a number 85 pick in 2018. I like Dostal a lot. I think part of the reason why they can look to trade John Gibson, and we'll talk about Gibson, we'll come back to Gibson. Dostal's development has definitely allowed for the idea of trading out Gibson and not necessarily needing a starter back. Maybe you want a 1B, but in reality, yeah, I think Dostal's ready for more starts than what he had this past season. You have Cutter Gauthier, who was picked up in a trade from the Philadelphia Flyers. He was a number 5 pick in 2022. And right now, honestly, is that trade a win for either team? I think both teams got the player they wanted in that trade. And I think with how young the players are, it's too early to draw any conclusions. But I do like Gauthier as an addition for the Anaheim Ducks. He does look like he's going to be a scoring top 6 forward, and you need those if you're Anaheim. Mason McTavish, the center, drafted 3rd overall in 2021. McTavish up and down this past season, but honestly, McTavish looks like he's going to be a star for them as well, and he's officially a center. And again, when you've got young players, you're going to have guys playing on the wing that might be center and all that fun stuff. But I like McTavish's game a lot. I think that he's due for a big breakthrough season for them. On the blue line, you've got Pavel Mintyukov, a number 10 pick in 2022. Mintyukov was at a really strong start to the season and had a good season overall. I think if he finds that consistency in his game, they have a top 2 defenseman there. Trevor Zegras. So if you want to get divergent opinions, just bring up Trevor Zegras. Listed as a center, number 9 pick in 2019. He's a very exciting player. He can execute the Michigan. He can execute a fantastic assist if he wants to as well. And he is a highlight reel when he's going really well. The tricky part's been the overall game he plays, having that consistency in his production. He's gone through injury problems as well. His name gets brought up a lot in trade rumors, although I haven't heard anything from the Anaheim side with that. Like, I've never heard that Anaheim's necessarily shopping him, just that a lot of teams are interested, or specific teams might be interested, but with Zegras having those tools and that ability to generate like highlight reel plays, it would make sense that GMs would see if he was available or not. Then there's Olin Zellweger, a number 34 pick in 2021, and he looks like he's the real deal as well. Should be a regular in their lineup. They surprised everybody by drafting Beckett Seneca at the number 3 draft pick this year, but they've signed him, and it sounds like they intend to get him in the lineup sooner rather than later. Again, when a guy's drafted in that draft year, you never know if they're going to make the NHL or not. But Seneca, he could very well be a part of the picture. And for people who, they should have drafted this guy or this guy, there's the perhaps that the other players that we're looking at, and Demidov being the obvious one, maybe they looked at their lineup and said, Demidov isn't the kind of guy that we need at this point. We have Carlson, we have McTavish, we have Zegras. Maybe Seneca gives them something different. Or they had a draft list and Seneca was really high on him. Now, also, you have Tristan Luneau, who's seen as a future top 4 defenseman. Nathan Gauthier, who had a okay season in the AHL, not great numbers, but again, not all prospects develop at the same rate. And then in net, you have Damian Clara and Callie Klang. So there's some good depth in net there, good young depth in net, and we'll see how things work out. Now, in terms of exits, Bo Grew, Robert Haig, Max Jones, William Lagesson, Lindstrom gone off the blue line, but he's still a UFA at this point. Ben Myers, Silverberg, who of course retired, and Colton White, who returns to New Jersey this summer. So the interesting one to me is Jones, because I remember when Anaheim drafted Max Jones and Sam Steele, and I felt like, these guys are future pillars potentially up front for Anaheim. Both of them gone out of the organization. And I don't think they got anything for Steele either. I think he was a restricted free agent. They didn't qualify him, and he goes to Minnesota first, now Dallas. And for Max Jones, he's gone to Boston. So, those. And what's interesting is that Anaheim has had some misses in the past when it comes to drafting in the first round. And I'm going to do videos on that during the summer too, because it's entertaining to look back at drafts. In fact, I've got a redraft that I'm all ready to do as soon as possible. But the one question mark is, okay, so they've missed the playoffs the last 6 seasons. Can they make the playoffs this year? Well, if we look at the trend, 2021, 2022, they actually had 76 points. And I thought things were getting better. 232 goals scored, 271 goals against. And it felt like, okay, the worst should be behind Anaheim. This should be a big year. It was not. They ended up with 58 points the following season, 209 goals scored, 338 goals against. The theory that maybe the Ducks required my hatred of the team in order to win is still out there. And it may have been backed up by this past season. They had a good start. I believe they were 9-6 to start the season. They still end up with 59 points, so they only improved by 1 point. They scored 5 less goals, but they allowed 43 less goals than they did the previous season. So 204 goals scored, 295 goals against. They need more offensive punch. If Gauthier can take that step, Carlson, Zegras is healthy, this team may end up scoring a lot more goals than people think right now. This is a team that could potentially prove to be absolutely unexpected and suddenly start climbing up. One of the reasons that they could be able to do this is cap space. In a league where most teams are at the cap, near the cap, over the cap, they sit with $22,643,333 in cap space, according to Puckpedia. And so, that cap space, it's not bad. Pat Verbeek's been the general manager of this team since February 3rd of 2022. I've already seen a lot of people complaining about this and that with Verbeek, but he's only been on the job for like 2.5 years. It takes a while with a general manager. And Greg Cronin, named coach last year, June 5th of 2023. I think he did a good job. And so no reason to think there's going to be a change in either of those positions anytime soon. Alex Killorn's contract's one that stands out. And I wanted to talk about this because we talk about cap space, but I wanted to talk about a couple contracts too. Killorn's $6.25 million cap hit until 2027. There will be those who look at that and say, well, that's way too high. And maybe so. But for Killorn to decide to sign in Anaheim, they're probably going to have to pay more money than another team will, because you're telling him, all right, we're rebuilding. Do you want to come and join that? Maybe, but it might take a little bit extra money. Ryan Strome, $5 million cap hit until 2027. For what Strome provides at this point in his career, it's probably a bit high. I know when Radko Gudas signed that contract with them, there were some eyebrows raised. It's $4 million until 2026. But Gudas was very solid for them this past season. Good in the locker room from all accounts, and a leader of a good, young core that they have there. You have to have these guys. And a little bit of toughness out there too, right? Now, John Gibson is going to be the focus, right, when it comes to who potentially gets traded. For those who realize Zegras isn't going anywhere, Gibson becomes the guy to watch. $6.4 million cap hit until 2027. That cap hit looked like a bargain as recently as 2 years ago. Right now, not so much. Gibson's numbers have suffered. They have suffered in part because of the defense he's playing behind. They've also suffered in part because Gibson's had his struggles as well. So I don't know that he has the amount of interest on the market that he might have had 2 years ago. And keep in mind, as I keep saying, Every trade for a goaltender, the return is underwhelming. So whatever they get for Gibson is unlikely to be a huge mover of the needle. I would say if they got back a backup goaltender for Dostal and a prospect, I think that's probably pretty good, right? And I'm just saying that as an example. But we'll see if Gibson does get moved. Of course, last summer there was, he's never playing another game for Anaheim. He's still there. Now, the top six, we'll see how it shakes down. I think we'll see Terry, Killorn clearly in the top six as veterans. Zegras should be in the top six. So should Carlson. I think Gauthier, McTavish, any combination of them. And adding Fabry means Robbie Fabry could end up in that top six at some point. Or maybe he qualifies for top six out of the gate. Maybe they try to have 3 scoring lines. But when you look at this top six, it again comes down to can Cutter Gauthier and Leo Carlson hit their stride, because if they can, this team's going to score a lot more points than expected. And if Zegras is healthy and if he can get his production up, again, this is a team that's going to go from that 59-point mark. Maybe they can get to 500. Maybe they can get above 500 this year. Their top 4, I would think likely Fowler, Minchukov, the acquired Dumoulin, and I thought, I'll throw in Zellweger. Sure, why not? Although Gudas, for the amount of money he's making, is going to end up in the top 4. All right, I'll put up Gudas. Can I put up Gudas with a question mark? Does anybody care? Fine, I'll put up Gudas. How about if I put the question mark next to Zellweger? Because again, I know people are going to say, well, Gudas is going to be top 4, is stupid hockey guy. In the tandem right now, Gibson and Dostal. But of course, Gibson, I could put a question mark there because we don't know if he's going to start the season with Anaheim or not. At this point, it looks like a lot of the moves in the NHL are done, but there's always moves throughout July, August, and September that might be unexpected. And so I don't think the Ducks are necessarily done. Look at the amount of cap space and just look at what they might be able to build. The Ducks are fascinating. I've talked up Utah plenty and what they might be able to do with the amount of cap space they have and the good young players they have. I am probably underselling the Ducks and what they might be able to do. Because again, they have that cap space. They can make a big addition or two. They can take on a bad contract, but if they take on some salary, but they take on a player who could help their top 6, player could help their top 4 on the blue line, this team could be dangerous. The potential is there. I don't think they will be, but maybe, right? So at any rate, and of course I'm wearing the Wild Wing jersey because it is fantastic, and the Duck Stream hat, which they were gracious enough to give me the last time I was down there. Or no, it wasn't the last time, it was the time before that I met with them. Although it is free advertising for them, so there you go. You're welcome. Anyways, so there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. What do you think we're going to see from the Ducks this season? Are we going to see a team that has improved? Are we going to see a team that's right around the same? If you're a Ducks fan, are you excited about all the young guys who are going to be playing this year? And what do you do with that cap space? I give you Pat Verbeek's job today. What do you do with that cap space, or do you do anything with it? Let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe in the event that you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.